Recently, the United States Coast Guard evacuated a passenger off the Disney Fantasy cruise ship. Cruises are supposed to be a wonderful getaway from everyday life. Typically, guests enjoy all-you-can-eat food, drinks, day and nighttime entertainment, and ports that guests can get off the ship and enjoy the islands. But what if something happens that makes the vacation one that you wouldn't remember fondly? Unfortunately, some tragic events have happened at sea, but sometimes rescue operations are successful and lives are saved. These are some times that Disney crew members saved people at sea. This video is brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. I'm a huge fan of Disney park smells, but what happens when I'm at home and not at the parks? Can I still smell those smells? Yes! Magic Candle Company brings you the best smells from around the world to your home. From riding a banshee to a Hawaiian lobby, Magic Candle Company has you covered with small and large candles, fragrance oils, wax melts, and more. So head down and hit my link in the description and be sure to use code BIGBEAUTIFULDIZ15 for 15% off your entire order. I've been burning their candles and using their fragrance oils for many years, and I can tell you they are fantastic. Again, head to the link in the description and be sure to use BIGBEAUTIFULDIZ15 for 15% off your entire order. Big thank you to Magic Candle Company, and now on to the video. Sadly, falling overboard is not a rare occurrence at sea. Obviously, this is very dangerous, and many people break their neck when they hit the water or go into cold shock, depending on the temperature of the ocean. Now, you may be wondering, how does someone fall off of a cruise ship? The railings on decks and verandas in rooms are very tall for this exact reason. But when the dangers of climbing over the railing and the all-included alcohol that many cruise ships have, mistakes are made. On January 15th, 2015, a man fell from the Oasis of the Sea, a ship that belongs to Royal Caribbean. The ship was off the coast of Cozumel, Mexico. The man was a 22-year-old U.S. citizen. He didn't remember how he fell, but he was alone on the Oasis of the Sea's Deck 5 when he went overboard at 6:07 a.m. It's still unclear how he fell because there were no other guests or crew with him at the time of his fall, a Royal Caribbean spokeswoman said. At the same time, the Disney Magic was traveling the same waters as the Royal Caribbean ship, and a man on board the Magic saw and heard a man screaming for help. He got on the phone with guest services and reported a man overboard at 7:31 a.m. The ship came to a stop, and guests heard this. An announcement then came over the ship's speaker system shortly after this horn. The announcement stated,
Mr. Mob on the port side. Thank you.
MOB is a code word for man overboard, and the 3 blasts of the ship's horn means man overboard as well. While crew members got the lifeboat prepared, the guest who had reported the man had thrown several life vests into the ocean for the man. Crew members lowered a rescue boat into the ocean and brought the man into the lifeboat and brought him to safety on the Disney Magic. He was then taken to a local hospital when the ship docked at land. He was in good condition and then flown back to the United States. This next story is one of the wildest I've ever seen. This is Martin Gossfeld, an internet hacker. Martin is from Boston, Massachusetts, and in 2014 posted a video to YouTube calling out a local hospital. In the video, he called for action against Boston Children's Hospital for its treatment of a patient, as described by NBC News. Basically, Martin wanted the hospital to be charged for how he claimed they were treating this patient. After Boston authorities did not pursue action against the hospital, Martin used his hacking skills and in April 2014 hacked into the hospital's computer network and took down the servers for at least 7 days. This interrupted operations at the hospital and took down its website. The attack was a serious crime in the Boston area and put Martin on the FBI watch list. Because of this, Martin and his wife fled the country. The FBI began their search for them after receiving many calls from Martin's bosses and relatives. Meanwhile, a Disney cruise ship was traveling near the coast of Cuba and received a distress call. The call came from a sailboat that carried Martin, his wife, and 3 laptops. The sailboat had run into a problem, and the Disney ship responded to the call and rescued them. Not long after picking them up, the FBI learned their location after hearing the news from one of their agents in the Bahamas. The FBI had found them, and Martin Gossfeld was arrested. Later, he faced trial. According to court documents, Martin was not remorseful for what he did and thought the attack was justified. His defense was that he was trying to save the life of Justina Pelletier, a teenager that was placed in custody after her parents disputed Boston Children's Hospital's diagnosis of their daughter. The Justina Pelletier case was controversial and started a debate on parental rights. Martin had no regrets and wishes he had done more to help Justina. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, although he was transferred to home confinement in 2023. On April 16, 2014, the Disney Wonder was sailing on a 5-night Western Caribbean cruise. It was traveling 10 miles off the coast of Key West, Florida, when it came across a small raft carrying 6 Cuban refugees. Cuban refugees are picked up by cruise ships very often, due to the political climate of Cuba. Many Cubans try to flee America for a better life. The Disney Wonder was on its way to Castaway Cay when it came across the raft in the evening. The ship stopped and picked up the refugees. The crew on the bridge reported them to the Coast Guard, while other crew members were bringing them on board. They were fed, given dry clothes, and given medical attention. The Wonder didn't start moving again until the Coast Guard picked them up. 3 days later, on April 19th, another raft was spotted around 10 a.m. This time, the raft was carrying about 20 refugees. The Disney Wonder again reported them, and they were picked up by the Coast Guard. This time, they weren't brought on board the ship, and the rescues took place around the same area. Human migration is so common in Caribbean waters that an agreement is made between every cruise line and the U.S. Coast Guard that says the cruise ship must contact the Coast Guard if anyone or anything is picked up at sea. A few years later, in 2016, the Disney Wonder picked up some more Cuban migrants. The ship was heading to Grand Cayman from Miami when the raft was spotted in the ocean on February 13, 2016, around 8 a.m. 12 Cubans were brought on board and turned over to local authorities when the ship reached land. On the night of September 2, 2009, a man and a woman were having a heated argument inside of a stateroom on board the Carnival cruise ship, the Carnival Sensation. Another passenger who overheard the conversation reported hearing the man threaten to jump overboard, to which the woman responded, "Go ahead." And so he jumped over the balcony railing and fell into the Atlantic Ocean. This event happened 30 miles off the coast of St. Lucie. The conversation was reported and the man started immediately yelling for help and was heard by guests on board. The ship halted and turned on its searchlights and threw life vests into the water. This is a practice that is recommended for guests to do to help whoever is in the ocean. They always say throw life vests from your room to the person. Despite its best efforts, the Carnival Sensation was not able to find the man. Passengers tried to help the man by yelling positive things to him while he was treading water. Luckily, the water was still that night, and the man was screaming so loudly that the Disney Wonder... What is up with the Disney Water plucking people out of the ocean? Luckily, the Disney Water was in the area and heard a report of a man falling overboard from Carnival. The captain of the Wonder, John Barwis, saw the spotlight and even heard the man screaming, so they slowed the ship down and launched rescue vessels into the water. The rescue was successful as they found the man and pulled him to safety on the lifeboat. He was then brought onto the Disney Wonder. The rescue happened around midnight. The man had been treading water for an hour and a half. The next day, both ships arrived at Port Canaveral. Captain Barwis got to meet the man they had rescued the night before. According to ABC News, the man was very thankful and was taken to a local hospital for physical and mental assessment. Also, the Disney Wonder does not do Caribbean cruises anymore. Probably because they were picking up too many things along the way. The most recent incident on a Disney cruise happened on April 15th, 2024, off the coast of San Juan, Puerto Rico. The Disney Fantasy had to halt after a 35-year-old pregnant woman experienced health problems. She required more medical attention than the ship could provide and needed immediate care. The Disney Fantasy's crew members contacted the Coast Guard and coordinated a medevac. A Coast Guard helicopter was deployed from Miami and flew to the ship's location. Once the helicopter arrived, the woman was brought to the forward of the ship on a stretcher and was transferred to a rescue basket and hoisted to the rescue helicopter. She was taken to the Central Medical Hospital in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the Coast Guard crew has been rightfully getting praised for safely executing the medevac. The woman's identity and status has not been released. Crazy enough, this event actually happened while I was finishing up this script. Not a lot of details are known yet on the status of the woman, but I do hope that her and her baby are safe. So there are some examples of the Disney cruise ships pulling off rescues, saving some lives. There are a few other times that they picked up some immigrants on international waters, and a few things that have happened to, like, the Magic one time. One of its smokestacks caught on fire in like 2002, a minor fire. It only damaged the smokestack a little bit. It wasn't like the massive Carnival fires. Which, speaking of the Carnival cruise ships, I would never go on one of those, because like, if I would do like if I was like doing more cruise ship videos like this, there would be probably a hour and a half long video that I could do of just Carnival disasters, or them picking up things, or people falling overboard off their ships. The Carnival cruise line is an absolute disaster. I was actually on I was on the Disney Magic in 2012, the very first sailing from New York. And we picked up a raft. Nothing was in it. It was just like a little yellow raft. We had to stop for a little bit, pick it up. Nothing was in it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like and consider subscribing. It would make me a very happy man. And if anything has happened while you've been on board a Disney Cruise Line cruise or any other cruise line, let me know in the comments below. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody.